Welcome to season 2 of No Shelf Control, the podcast with books, booze, and banter, hosted by authors for readers, because let's face it, we are all bookworms at heart.
This season, we'll be chatting about book-to-screen adaptations and trending book talk books. I am Lindsey Sparks.
And I'm Lindsey Pogue. Grab a cocktail, kick back, and enjoy the show.
Okay, so this is the 9th episode, I believe, of season 2. And this episode, we are doing an adaptation.
Yes.
So welcome to our adaptation episode, everybody. We are featuring a book that we have both wanted to read for a very long time, which is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. And I know we're going to talk a lot about the book and the show later, because it's an adaptation one. But I just have to say off the front, I loved it. I loved both.
Well, this is going to be a fun episode because I actually could not stand either one of them.
Really?
Really.
Oh, that's so exciting.
I know. I'm really excited too. I even was talking to one of our mutual readers, and she was asking, when is this episode going to air? Because I really want to know what you guys think. And I was like, I'm pretty sure we're going to be divided on this one. It's going to be a good one.
What did she think? Did she like it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
I know.
And it's so, everything about this book is something that I wouldn't like. And I don't know why, but I was like, my husband and I started the show months ago. He was not into it. He was like, this is weird. And I was like, I don't know, I kind of like it. I think it was the first episode that was very much like apocalypse. And then it's like the second episode is like post-apocalyptic stage play. And he was like, nope.
It's definitely, both of them are very quirky in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I can definitely,
Anyway, we'll get more to that later.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be fun. Okay. So anyway, but most important question first. What are you drinking?
So I just have,
I
have bubbles today. And then I usually don't have stems. Yeah, I usually don't have a stem when I'm in here recording because I don't want it to get messed up. But this is my Beast charm. I have a blue and a Beast. And so, but Beast is the OG, right? So here's my Beast cup.
Cheers, Beast.
Glass. Cheers, Beast. He's outside being really lazy in very hot heat. So there we go. Cheers.
Well, I am drinking red wine. Shocker.
Nice.
Yes. Okay, so what are you working on right now?
I feel like
Are you working right now?
I'll just twiddle my thumbs. No, I am. I actually have, this week has been mostly, I know we're working on some revisions for the Raven Queen, but my focus has been getting back into
what is your book called?
Yeah, I can't even remember. So I just got Sea of Storms, which is my Norse, mythology retell. That's to the editor. That was on Sunday, so that's gone, which feels really great. I'm so excited for that. As you know, it's had many renditions, adding a whole male POV and all these things. So I'm really excited for that one. And so that one's to the editor. And then I've been kind of putting the third book, which is a Snow White and the Huntsman retelling. It's a Norse retelling on hold while I've been working on the Raven Queen. So the Raven Queen is pretty much at the point where we're ready to send it to betas. So I've been able to take a step back from that. So that feels really good too, which is really fun because it's different than anything that I think we're both working on on our own. So it's been a nice little palette cleansing project. But anyway, so I'm finally diving back in, and so it's really fun because I'm getting to it's tying in, and I talked about this before, but it's tying in a lot of little things that are nuanced throughout the first 2 books in the series because they're all standalones. But it's fun because this one is Snow White and the Huntsman, but the Huntsman has 7 horsemen, and so it's been really fun to kind of delve into them and do the little 7 dwarfs and all that and stuff. And so anyways, it's been really fun. So this is my first week kind of being back in that, and so I'm doing a lot of castle research and stuff like that, so that's fun. And obviously, it's kind of weird because we're working on this historical fantasy dystopian, whatever we want to call it, on what we're doing together. So I'm having a hard time because I'm okay, wait, we just kind of did something like that, so I need to rethink. Like, I don't want anything to be too similar, so I'm kind of in like a little weird in between, but other than that, that's been my focus, so that's what I'm doing. What about you?
So I am also working on the Raven Queen revisions, but like you said, that's like end stages, pre-beta. Like, it's not where my creative, like, mental focus is. It's more just like looking at the lines and being like, bleh. So, I have been writing. I wrote The Last Vampire Queen, episode 5, the last couple days. I am finishing up my patron. That's for my Patreon serial. I'm finishing up my Patron's Choice story, which is actually really exciting. So when they picked this one, because my patrons have a poll each month where they first get to like tell me all their ideas of stories that they would want me to write, and then I put them all on a poll and they get to pick, and whichever one gets the most votes is the one that I write. And so I'm writing about a character who is a villain. So it's set. He's a villain in the Echo trilogy, sort of. Mostly he's a villain. He's the villain, but it's like very ambiguous as to why. I mean, you've read it. He's a villain, but he's not really the villain. He's possessed by the villain. I don't know. Anyway, so it's set, and it's during the first chapter. It's his point of view for the first chapter of Time Anomaly, which is the second book, which is like the one moment until the end when he is himself. And so it's really cool. So we actually get to see what it's like to be him, which is not great, but it's a really fun story. So that's been really fun. And then I'm going to dive straight into, I'm going to try to write a couple episodes of the Nick Chronicles, which is my other Patreon serial, because after that I'm starting the second Fateless trilogy book, and I would like to not have to stop for anything. So I want to make sure I get all my Patreon stuff ready for the next couple months, and then I can just like go full steam into Darkness Between the Stars, because I already know that's ancient.
Oh, I forgot about the titles we came up with together.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, do we get to? Can you remind us what the third one is too, or no?
I haven't revealed that one yet.
Oh, okay. I mean, I should remember, but
I can remind you. I'm sure
later.
You have it in an email somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but they all have stars in the title.
Yes, I do remember that. I do.
Yeah, but I'm really excited to get back to that one. I am excited to re-listen to my playlist for Song of Scarabs and Fallen Stars and start getting back into that like mindset. Start adding new songs to that playlist. I've actually already added a couple songs that have popped up while I've been building. I have too many irons in the fire, I'm juggling too many stories right now. But I will say, I think the only reason that I'm able to do it and keep them straight and make them seem different is because of the playlists. Because like each playlist is very different. But like, and there's no crossover songs. So when I only put songs on there that make me think of something specific for that series. So yeah.
I did actually, I was going into my email to get the link for our recording tonight, and I did have an Amazon new, you should check out Blood of the Broken.
Oh.
Only $4.99 by Lindsey's
Yay. Yeah, I'm really happy with how that one's been doing too. So Blood of the Broken came out a couple weeks ago. I think it's been out since we've recorded since it's been out.
Yeah, I think so. Oh yeah, because I think I might have asked you. It's hard because we also meet separately.
We meet separately ourselves, and then we also meet with a group of authors, and it's like I don't know who I tell stuff to.
Yeah, I know. I actually had another meeting with some friends today, and I was like, wait, do you know this author? Wait. You should talk to them. Oh wait, you don't? Okay, I'll introduce you because you should talk to them about X, Y, and Z because I can't remember who the hell knows who anymore.
No, that's funny.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I don't know. Working on too much, doing a bunch of cover stuff, a bunch of like artsy stuff. I don't know. Maps.
I feel you. I know. I was thinking I had one of my, I do not sleep well, which but I've been the last couple nights, I've been waking up. It's so funny. Like, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but I fell asleep. I fell asleep at like,
I felt like I was asleep.
well, no, I felt like I was asleep for like 5 hours, but I had apparently only been asleep for an hour because I went to sleep at like 10 something. I woke up at 11 something, and then I couldn't sleep until 3:30 this morning. I worked for like an hour, but then I was just like, I'm tired. Like, I just want to sleep. So I was just laying in bed, like, oh my God.
Go to sleep.
So anyways, while I was laying in bed, not sleeping, and not working because I was too tired, because I was like, oh, there's tons I can do. Like, if I'm going to be awake for 4 hours, I might as well just work.
But there's always that hopeful part of you that's like, maybe I'll fall asleep in the next 5 minutes.
I feel like Dennis thinks I'm crazy because I think he turns over probably because this happens a lot. The times change a lot. Usually I wake up at like 2:30 or 3, and then I'm up until 5 when he goes to work, and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired, but I have to get up. But I feel like he wakes up 7 times, and he just looks at me like, why are you awake still? Like,
it's not by choice.
I just think he gets probably so confused because I never sleep in his mind. Like, he opens his eyes and I'm sitting there just.
You guys are like opposites. You can't go to sleep,
and he like conks out.
He can't stay awake.
Yeah, it really that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of the things that I was thinking last night or this morning or whatever you want to call it, when I couldn't sleep, was I was thinking about, the maps that we need to do, all those things. And I was like, I could get up and do it now. But I want to sleep.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. At least when it's like a child that keeps me up, I'm up listening to them go to like be crying. So I'm like, I can't sleep. I'm not gonna be able to sleep until they stop crying. I'm gonna have to keep going up and checking it or getting up and checking on them. So I'm like, I might as well do something.
You know what? It's funny. I kind of think about moms when I'm awake and a lot, because Dennis, he does a lot of self-soothing. Like, he hums in his sleep, and I was like, kids totally do that. Yeah. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Anyway,
my kids talk to themselves, or like, I don't know who they're talking to. They're talking to their stuffed. They'll talk to be like holding their stuffed animals and like talking to them. I can see them on the monitors. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, sorry, but yeah. So I think what I'm saying is my husband is like a child who needs children when you have a husband. Who likes to laugh when you say fart and all those things.
Yeah, it does.
Might as well just have.
Oh, my phone's just buzzing.
Anyway,
move it over there. Okay, so what are you reading right now? So
I kind of was saying that I feel like I was reading Station 11 for a long time. I'm just diving into Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This is gonna be my second book by her. I really loved her first book.
She's an indie, right?
Yes, she's a very successful indie author. And she does like rom-com, but it's a lot deeper than that. She's a really good writer, and she has really long books, which I always appreciate, because I think a lot of romance authors skimp with like 60,000 words, and I'm like, oh no, she straight up like writes 500-page books. But anyway, we were doing some pretty deep reading for book club, so we wanted to pick something that was a little more fun, so a little more levity to the group. So I'm just starting that. So Things We Never Got Over. Like I said, I've only read one of Lucy Score's books, but I'll let you guys know how it is. I generally really like her stuff, and so I'm a really big fan of Adrienne Young's Sky in the Deep, which is historical fantasy. It's very Viking-esque. I just finished listening to that before we started this book that we're talking about right now. And it was probably I think it's my third time listening to it. I really enjoy it. But I've never listened to or read anything else by her that I like really got sucked into. So I wanted to dive into book 2 in that series, which is The Girl the Sea Gave Back. It's also very historical fantasy, Viking-esque, again, because it is the second book in the series, which I'm not loving. So I'll keep.
Is it a continuation series, or it's a different story?
No, it's the same world, a different clan. The thing that this is actually kind of ties into what I had a really hard time with in the book that we just read is, so it has 2 POVs. It has I think his name's anyway, there's 2 POVs that I need to get back to it now. Obviously I forgot, but I think her name's Tora. And then there's a male POV. So 2 POVs, and it's first person present, but randomly throughout the chapters, it goes back to past tense third person in their histories. And that really messes with my head. Like, I'm having a hard time with that. So I'm only halfway through that, maybe not even quite that far. So I'm going to get through it because, I mean, she's a beautiful writer.
Are you reading, what format are you reading?
This is, it's Audible.
Oh, okay.
So, but it goes back to kind of what we were talking about with Madeline Miller, how she has really beautiful prose. She's a beautiful writer. So I really like, it's not her writing per se, because I loved the first book in the series, but she went in a very different direction with this one as far as how she was portraying the story. And I'm having a hard time with that. So anyways, we'll see how it goes. But,
can you tell me the title of that again?
Yeah, I think it's The Girl the Sea Gave Back, and it's by Adrienne Young. And like I said, beautiful prose, really rich history, great world building, a lot of mythology, but it's just the method of storytelling is hard for me to really root myself in. So anyway, how about you?
I have been wanting to reread one of my favorite series for a really long time. And I say reread it, it's not finished, but it's super long. And I was just feeling like I needed like a comfort read, a super long comfort read, especially because I have been in a creation phase without a break for several months now. And I usually give myself a break, but we dove straight into The Raven Queen, and then I'm driving straight into Darkness Between the Stars. So it's going to really end up being like a 6-month no break creation period. And my brain is too full of my own stories. So as I feel like I've talked about before, I have a hard time differentiating between story worlds, especially when somebody else's worlds come into my head. This is a world I'm very familiar with, so it just makes it easier.
Yeah,
so I'm reading Dead Witch Walking, which is the first book in the Hollow series by Kim Harrison. I'm almost done with it. I mean, I started it a couple days ago and I've just been having it on. I'm just like, this is like, it's like an old friend. So
yeah, no, I totally get that. I think that's why I listened to the Sky in the Deep for like the 3rd time, because I knew I liked it and I know the story, and we already have to, and I'm in a book club, so I have to read specific things. So it's really nice to be able to just read something in between that is like a palette. Like, I already know what's going to happen. I already know I enjoy it. Like, like I totally get it.
Yeah. And everything I was like, I read everything. I read stuff for the podcast, obviously. And then I was reading stuff for research, which was a bunch of reverse harem stuff. And I feel like I've got a grasp on that. And I just want to read. I wanted
research day.
That's what she said.
Oh my Lanta.
I mean, I still have a bunch of reverse harem books that I need to read, that I haven't read, that I will eventually read. But yeah, I don't want to, I don't know. I'm really enjoying my reverse harem story. So I don't want to, twist it with some other stuff. So anyway, so and that's like a, I don't know, 16 book series now at this point. So I'm just going to go through it. There's 2 books out that I haven't read yet. So I'm really excited about getting to those, because this was a really interesting series. Kim Harrison, I think it was at like book 13. I think it's called Ever After. That was like the final book. It was supposed to be the final book in the series. And then like 4 years later, all of a sudden it was like, there's another book. And then there's been like 2 more books since then. So it's like it's almost like,
I feel like J.R. Ward does that too.
Yeah. I feel like Karen Marie Moning has done that with the Fever series, where it's like one long story arc comes to an end. And it's like, she takes a moment. This is Kim Harrison I'm talking about now. She takes a moment and she's like, because that 13 books, I'm pretty sure it's 13 books.
I know, it feels like it should be the end, right?
But it was great. And I was so excited when she was doing another one. And I read the first one of the new restart. And I was like, she actually had to like, it was like the epilogue that was on the final book. She kind of had to like backtrack on. And like, I think she turned it into a dream or something. But Yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited.
Nice.
I love this series. I love this. This series is so good. It's urban fantasy. It is all-time favorite. It is, the first time I read this, I had to stop reading it at, I think it's either book 4 or 5, because there's this big thing that happens. And it like broke my heart. She like tore my heart out of my chest and like stomped on it and like stabbed it a bunch of times. And then
she
like
looked at you and she's like, sucker.
Yeah. And then like the entire next book is just like the grief and fallout from that thing that happened. And it's just like painful. It's painful to read, but it's like so good. She does such a good job. But it's gonna be really hard. Like I've read it since then. I've read it since knowing what happens. I've reread it. And it still is gonna like leading up to it. I'm just gonna be like, what? And I got Mandy to read it, my assistant. And she was like, I did not think that this was gonna happen. And she was really mad at me.
Well,
Like, well, yeah.
I guess that's good writing for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And this series, I'm just gonna keep talking about it because it's so amazing. I want everyone to read it. Now I'm getting sweaty because it's hot in my office. So sorry if I'm shiny. But it has like one of the greatest super long
slow burn arcs.
You're gonna go that is fully enemies to lovers, and it is so good. It's so good. Exciting. Yeah. I love it. I know I've tried to get you to read it before, but you wouldn't do it. Or you tried it and you weren't into it.
I don't know actually if I've read that one. I read Moaning. I read that one, the Fever series. I read like 1 or 2 books of that. I don't think I read the Kim Harrison books.
I think the hard thing with the Fever series, Dark Fever is the first one, is that in the first book and kind of in the second book, the main character is super annoying.
I remember. She's kind of like Valley Girl-esque, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
She's Southern, but she's all about like no offense, it's not against Southern people. She is like the stereotypical like girly girl, but she's also super like narcissistic, and I don't know. But she grows. There's an amazing character growth arc in that series. Yeah.
All right. Well, if there's 13 books, I'll have to see when I can, or 14 now. I'll have to see
possibly what 15 or 16.
Yeah, we'll see one day.
But the audiobooks are great. I think it's the same narrator the whole time.
That's good. That's rare is what that is.
Yeah. And that series has an amazing cast of like side characters. It's an amazing group of side characters. They're so fleshed out. So yeah. Anyway. Talked like for 15 minutes about that.
We are not affiliates.
But you should read it. So before we started recording, we were also talking about something that I think we should talk about, which is because we both had a lot to say about this. So what are you watching right now?
Well, it's funny because you know me, like I feel like you guys always have a show you're watching, and I feel like I don't watch a lot of TV, so I kind of go through these, you know. So right now we're watching Evil, which is
so good.
Which is hilarious because my husband loves scary shows and movies, but he's terrified of them. So like we watch them and then he leaves all the lights on in the house. So anyways, we are on season 2 of that. And I know Lindsey Sparks really enjoys that too. So we were kind of talking about that because we got into it when it was on Netflix a couple years ago, and now it's not on there anymore. You know, everyone's moving around, going to their own streaming services. So I finally found it on Paramount Plus. So we were 2 seasons behind. So we've been trying to catch up after watching the Station 11. So anyways, it's a fucking mind fuck is what it is. But anyway, I'm interested to see where it goes. We're only in season 2. So.
Yeah. And I feel like this show is such a like dark horse show because it's not like super crazy popular, and I don't understand why, because I think it's amazing. And the first season is so brilliant in the way that you don't know if it's real or not, what's going on, or if any of it is, if it's all psychological and like everything could be explained away, but you're like, but maybe it can't all be coincidence. And then in the second season, it gets more into stuff. But I will say, and we talked about this a bit before we started recording, but I want to say it on air, which is that show has the scariest hour of television that I have ever seen as a TV show. And this is including The Haunting of Hill House.
Really? See, I feel differently, but
Although that whole
I
like
think
basement scene in The Haunting of Hill House was super freaky.
I think Dennis would agree with you, but I think Haunting of Hill House was more.
Oh my gosh.
We have very different definitions though. So
yeah. And I can't remember what the episode is called. I know you just watched it. It's the elevator episode. It's in season 2.
I think it's called The Elevator.
It's
or something.
Freaky. It is. And I think the thing that makes it so scary is that the whole time you're like, wait, is this real? Is this real? Is this real? And then at the end they throw this thing in there and you're just like, what?
So I think, so this is something that I think is really interesting. I'm going to pull out my psychologist hat here, which I don't have, let's be clear. This is just like a barely half glass of bubbles talking. But you guys both have sleep paralysis. So I think your idea of scary is a lot different than maybe some people's too.
Yeah, that's true. That's interesting. Yeah. But I mean, so funny.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not creepy. It is creepy. I'm not saying it's not, but
yeah, but I mean, it is funny because like sleep paralysis appears in this show, and it also appeared in the Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah. Anyways, just that's why I'm like, Dennis, why do you like watching the scary stuff if you like know you're just gonna go and like have some horrible interaction like when you're real?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I do this.
I know.
Meanwhile, I'm just laying there like trying to sleep, and I'm like, oh. He's like, there's children. They're whispering in the other room, and we don't have children. So yeah, that's terrifying in the middle of the night.
Yeah. The auditory hallucinations.
Yeah, I'm just
hallucinations
like, oh
are
my
terrible.
Lanta.
Yeah.
Anyways, but anyway, so we're watching that. We just finished, obviously, what we're gonna be talking about tonight, and then 1883. I think I talked about it last time.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down, one of the best shows I've ever seen on television. I don't think I've ever had more feels, even watching a movie, maybe, to be honest. Like, I think the acting was so good. So there you go. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, well, I have 3 shows. So and my husband has just been like on a roll with picking shows lately. So Blackbird. Blackbird is amazing. It has I think you say his name is, not you say, but like his name is pronounced Taron Egerton or something like that. He was in The Kingsman.
Yeah. Okay. I know you're talking about the British guy.
Yeah, he's like kind of little British guy. But he's like the main character in this. Anyway, it's great. It's like he gets arrested. He gets a chance to like exonerate himself by.
Oh yes. This is a movie or a show?
It's a show. It's a miniseries by catching a serial killer, or by getting a serial killer to give up his secrets or something like that. It's so good. So that's Blackbird. And then we watched Slow Horses, which is like a British spy show. It has I'm not going to think of anybody's name right now, but it's amazing. It's an amazing cast. It's so good. Highly recommend. And there's only 1 season out, but there's going to be at least 4. And then the one that we're watching right now, God, what is it called? And now I'm not going to be able to remember.
House of the Dragon.
No, we're not. No, he doesn't watch Game of Thrones.
I'm watching it. I'm only. Sorry.
Well, but I mean, he never watched Game of Thrones.
I know Dennis is totally anti. He will never watch it because everyone likes it.
Yeah.
He's like that.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna drive me nuts. Goliath. It's got Billy Bob Thornton. It's so good. It's a lawyer. It's like a
nice
lawyer small lawyer going against big corporation kind of thing. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And he's also like a super alcoholic. It's great. Dude, he always plays an alcoholic. Well, I mean, addict. Like, to be honest, we've been saying like somebody wrote this story with him in mind. Like, this is Billy Bob Thornton as lawyer.
Nice.
It's like, what would they have done if he didn't want the role?
Yeah.
Maybe he helped write it. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I would recommend all of those, which is weird because there's like no fantasy or anything in any of them. So
that's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really fun. There's a show on Netflix, a new show called Echoes that I really want to watch. About this woman, and if anybody has seen this, tell us if you like it, because it looks really intriguing. It's about a woman who has a twin, and I don't know exactly what happens, but I think the twin goes missing, and then she's trying to figure out what happened to her sister, so she like poses as her sister and comes back, and I'm pretty sure
that sounds exactly like the premise of a show that Sarah Michelle Gellar was in like 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I thought that might be my next one, but you know, it's hard because C is starting, on Apple TV, and the new I'm watching the new House of the Dragon, and I'm also tomorrow starts the new Lord of the Rings show on Amazon Prime. I just
How
finished
is House
Halo.
of the Dragon?
It's interesting. It's good.
Is it?
I mean, yeah, so far. I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm not like swooning or anything, but it's good. Got my attention. But I love that stuff. So I mean, Dennis is like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
But I would get excited. So.
Huh. Yeah, I keep seeing like ads for it and stuff.
Yeah. But anyway, we should probably move on to the book, I guess,
I know.
at this point.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, so I'm gonna read the description. So this is for You're Hot Too.
Yeah, well, as I was saying, I'm in triple digits here in Napa, California. So I'm like, oh my God. And I had to turn my fan off. So let's do this.
I was just about to put my hair up. Maybe I'll do that.
I don't have any.
Super sweaty.
All right.
Okay, so this is for Station 11. This is the description for the book. I just grabbed it off of Amazon. This is skipping over all the like paragraph of awards at the beginning of the description. I figured I didn't need to read that. So
no, please don't.
Okay, so Kristen Raymond. Oh, did you listen to the audiobook?
Yes.
Okay. Kristen Raymond will never forget the night Arthur Leander, the famous Hollywood actor, had a heart attack on stage during a production of King Lear. That was the night when a devastating flu pandemic arrived in the city, and within weeks, civilization as we know it came to an end. 20 years later, Kristen moves between the settlements of the altered world with a small troupe of actors and musicians. They call themselves the Traveling Symphony, and they have dedicated themselves to keeping the remnants of art and humanity alive. But when they arrive in St. Deborah by the water, they encounter a violent prophet who will threaten the tiny band's existence. And as the story takes off, moving back and forth in time and vividly depicting life before and after the pandemic, the strange twist of fate that connects them all will be revealed.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Spoilers, everybody.
Spoiler. Oh, yeah. Spoiler.
Book and show.
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah. So, what order did you watch / read, and what format did you read?
So, I had started watching this show months ago before we had decided we were going to read it. I only made it to episode 2 or 3 because I wasn't super into it. And then we decided to read it. So obviously I made sure to try and listen / read it as much as I could before I started running out of time. And I started watching it because I need to be prepared for the podcast. So I went ahead, I started watching it, took a break, read as much as I possibly could, or listened as much as I possibly could. And then yesterday I finished the show. And then I had like an hour left today to listen to it. So kind of back and forth, really. But
that would be confusing.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really have a choice. So
yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
How about you?
I watched, I want to say 2 episodes. Like I said, my husband wasn't into it. And then we stopped and I was like, well, I'm going to continue it. But then I just never had time.
Yeah.
So then for the podcast, I listened to the audiobook and then I watched the rest of the show.
Yeah. I feel like our husbands have very similar tastes in shows.
Yeah. Although I will say that my husband was like, oh, this is a great movie. You should totally watch it. And it was The Devil's Rejects. And I do not recommend that movie for anybody.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that one.
It's a Rob Zombie.
Oh yeah, I don't know if he would either, but none of all of those movies are weird. All the Rob Zombie movies are weird.
Like the second movie, apparently the first one is House of a Thousand Corpses. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I didn't like any of them. I didn't like any of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So have you seen The Devil's Rejects?
I think I have, but it was years ago and I clearly forgot about it for a reason.
Yeah, I was just like looking at my husband like, you seriously think this is a good movie? Like,
that's hilarious.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
So
anyway,
I say he was on like a hot streak for picking shows, but that movie was a bad choice.
God.
I don't like body horror. I think that's the thing. I don't like body horror, and this was very like body horror. Like,
yeah.
and just like like there was like a lot of like glorified rape kind of stuff. I was just like, this is not
Well, all the Rob
entertaining.
Zombie movies are off the rails a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of it, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's a
Sorry
whole
if you
other
really like that
conversation.
movie.
Moving on.
Just not into.
It's okay. A lot of people love Quentin Tarantino movies, and I cannot stand them. So you can throw stones at me, everybody. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm not super into them either.
Anyway. Okay. But yeah, so that's so we kind of went back, both of us kind of started with the show and then went into the book.
Yeah, went into the book and then came back to the show. Okay, so like you said you didn't like either of them. I really liked both. You didn't like either.
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
I know, it's really exciting. I think for me, it's so strange because I know it's like an international best-selling, like really famous book. So I think for me, it had to do with, I don't do well with stories that time hop and jump all over the place. I do not like that at all. And I felt like this book was told in riddles, and I didn't like that either. I feel like I kept wondering, did I miss something? Because it's multiple POVs. It's very topical third person. There's like nobody to really like hone in on and really.
I know. So I'm saying it's so weird that I liked it so much. This is not my like.
I just had a hard time. Like, I just honestly, if I didn't have to finish it for the podcast, I would not have finished it either.
DNF'd the crap out of that book.
Yeah, I really would have. And so, and I'm not like people who love, like a lot of people loved it. Like, I'm not, it is what it is, but it wasn't for me. And I think it's because I connected to no characters whatsoever. And I had zero buy-in, and it was too messy for me. Like, I felt like I was very much trying to figure out a riddle the whole time.
Yeah.
I feel like the idea of the storytelling of having everybody connected to Arthur, like, it's really cool in a way. And I feel like if it was maybe told differently, I would have really enjoyed it. I really would have liked how it would all tie in, but it was hard for me. So that's me.
So it's so interesting that you say that. I felt like the author was like anticipating what I wanted to hear next. So like each new chapter, like especially at the end, and I was like, God, I really want to hear Arthur's perspective. Like what, because everybody's talking about Arthur, and I just want to know like what his, and then the next chapter was like Arthur. I was like,
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's good.
So I felt like the whole time I was like, I would be wondering, as the chapter would be going on, I would be wondering like, I wonder if she's ever going to tell us about this. And then the next chapter, it would be like telling us about that. And so I felt like, I don't know, maybe it was just, I was the right person for, like, I was who she was writing to or something, which is funny because I said, not third person. I'm not into third person. I'm not super into multiple POVs. So I don't know. It fit my brain, maybe.
Yeah. No, like I said, a lot of people enjoyed the story. So, I mean, it's not like you're in a minority. I probably am actually, but I think for me too, it's weird because she picked a very unlikable character to be the center of everything. So that was another part of it. Like, I felt like he had very few redeeming qualities. Like, sort of at the end, he was like, I'll just give all my money and pay off her loan for her whatever. But like, he's not a good person. So
no.
There was not even like, even the central hub of everything was just, it was nothing for me. It was nothing to look forward to, as far as the book goes. If I had to choose between the two, I enjoyed the show more, which we'll obviously talk about more.
Yeah, I'm just adding one thing I want to talk about in a little bit.
Talking about husbands and shows, Dennis would sit down with me and I would try and explain, like, catch him up on what's going on. I was like, I don't care. Okay. And moving on.
That's me when I go in, like, I'm sure right now my husband is watching The Wire and he tries to tell me what's going on and I'm just like, I don't care.
It's like Dennis trying to tell me how to like put an engine together. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying and I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so this story was a very unique take on the post-apocalyptic genre. And I think that a big part of that for me was the fact that there were like no soldiers, or there was no like,
it was just like normal people.
Fighters, or it was just like normal people. I mean, a lot of them were like artistic, even the people you would not expect to be surviving,
Yeah.
But did anything, even though you didn't really enjoy it,
Right.
did anything stand out to you as especially unique or interesting or different for the genre?
Yeah,
Being
for
someone who
sure.
even writes in the genre.
Yeah, no, I think it is really interesting because like you said, there are no soldiers. It's not like there's an army involved, there's no militia, whatever. What's really interesting is they kind of skip over all of that. Like it's quite literally like a few different people and them in the moment. But again, it's back and forth, and then 15 years, 20 years later, there isn't a lot of in between. So you don't see any of that. You don't really see what's happening in the rest of the world. You only know what's happening in these hubs of people, which I think is really interesting. Yeah. And a lot of their experience is based on where they were obviously like trying, where it happened. Right. And then I think the other thing that's really interesting is that it really focuses on the arts in general and how it brings everyone together in the end. And everybody like tries to grasp onto, well, not everybody tries to grasp onto what was before, but we think about the prophet and all that, like,
yeah, there is no before.
Yeah. But in general, like they're like, that's kind of what draws everyone together, right? Is this traveling symphony and the actors and stuff. So that I think that's a really new, really creative spin on it. And I think for me, that's why I was saying before, it's like I feel like if the story would have been told differently, I could have really been interested in it, but it was just kind of a hodgepodge to me, so it was hard.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I really like the idea of like focusing on that, like what would it be like in 15 years, and if you are an actor, what do you do, like what do you do at the end of the world, Yeah. I thought that whole idea of that whole museum and like having the random things from the past, like who would think to save that shit and have an actual museum, like I mean obviously somebody would, but wouldn't have been me. So it's kind of fun to see like all these very different individuals surviving and how they what path they took.
I thought that another thing that was unique about this, that and I know that this is something that you didn't really like, the time jumping, was that we got to see the immediate apocalypse. And like you said, it was like a very insulated view of the world ending, because basically the only people who survived are the people who stayed isolated and weren't out like watching the world end, because it was like I think they said like 1 in 1,000 people survived. We didn't actually see anybody survive the flu. So that was interesting because it was like basically all the introverts are going to survive.
Interesting. Well, and then if you look at Clark's situation, though, it's also the people who are like, or even it's hard. Like, I feel like maybe watching the show and reading the book so close together is kind of convoluted in my head. Like the lines are a little blurred, but
because they're very different. Like they're similar enough to be like, wait, was that the book or the show? But they're also very different. Like, especially like the second half, the story, like the like conflict storyline.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I don't know. It's really interesting to see who survived and like how people coped with it, I have a question, and this isn't really, I don't think this is in really any of your questions, this is why I want to bring it up. So did you like, I mean, I know Clark in the book or in the show, I didn't really get any vibes from him per se, other than maybe like some sort of envy or jealousy in the book. But do you think, like, I know he says that he loves Arthur, but do you think like he loves Arthur? Like loves him?
Like he was like
in love with him? Well, because we know that he has a boyfriend and stuff like that. So I mean, it's not like a stretch or anything. But I couldn't tell. Like, was it a friendship, jealousy, envy, like frustration, or was it that Arthur had so many women and he was such a womanizer and he did all these things and he didn't really appreciate anything and everything came easily for him? I mean, in Clark's eyes, right? And then, but he never loved Clark back. I don't know.
I didn't pick up on that.
I was just, I don't know. I might have. That's why I thought I would ask, because it's.
I mean, like, I didn't. So in the book, we do get some of Clark's perspective, and I definitely didn't feel like any of Clark's thoughts veered that way towards Arthur. Although he did, the thing that I thought was really interesting, I liked Clark way better in the book. That was one of the things I didn't like about the show, was how Clark's character changed. They added just a lot of like negative traits to him that he didn't have in the book. But I liked that in the book we got to hear Clark saying like Arthur, I can't even tell if Arthur is acting. Like in our conversations. Is he acting? Is he playing a role right now? And I feel like that in the book, that was really great at explaining like why their friendship kind of did just like lost some of its luster. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to admit, I didn't really start thinking about it and questioning that until Elizabeth was stuck in the show in the airport with him, and he was like going off and like freaking out about Arthur, and she was kind of just laughing because, you know, she's been dealing with him for however many years and has a kid with him and knows what he's like and stuff. But I was just thinking like how much Arthur put everyone through, and to have Clark, who really has no, I mean, yeah, they were acting together on stage and stuff, but what was the buy-in for him? He wasn't married to him. If he was frustrated with him, they didn't have to be friends. So like, I was just trying to figure out like if he got so frustrated, or if he wasn't sure, like, is this even my friend talking to me? Is he acting? Like, is he being real? I don't know. Anyways, I'm way overthinking it, but I was
maybe Arthur like hung on to Clark as like his like, because in the show
grounding friend.
Yeah, because in the show we didn't have V. Like we didn't even really have Victoria in the book, but we had the book, his childhood best friend, Victoria, who published the letters that he wrote to her. It was like a big betrayal. So maybe Clark was kind of like a combination of those, Clark and V. Like you said, it was Arthur's grounding thing. Like he hung on to him, like even beyond the point where it was a healthy relationship, because he needed Clark to like feel like a real person still or something.
Yeah.
Because everything else was acting and, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, that's what I feel like there's a lot of things you can interpret with this book, so who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else about the like kind of unique take. I just felt like it was so like we said, it was so interesting that it wasn't survivalists, or it was just like artists and actors and this random group of people with a goalie in a airport.
I know, right? Like that's so random. I know I was reading a lot of things afterwards about how a lot of people who are really into Shakespeare and literature, they really enjoyed the story. And I think for me, I'm not a Shakespeare fan, so I think that might have also been like, I didn't have any connection to it in that way too.
Yeah, I like have read some Shakespeare plays, but I'm not like super into. I probably haven't. I mean, like I've seen all the Romeo and Juliets because everybody has, and like Leo. So, that soundtrack.
But yeah, I mean, but I've read Shakespeare. I've done a lot of projects on Shakespeare. Yeah. I've never been into Shakespeare.
I was actually wondering if, and I didn't look this up.
Shakespeare books, and I don't care to read them.
I didn't look this up, but I was wondering, is it supposed to be a retelling? Maybe, I don't know.
I know, based on what I read, it is kind of like a. Yes, I believe so. I mean, this is what I was reading based on multiple people's comments. If that's what the author intended, I don't know. But
what did they say it was?
Hamlet.
Hamlet?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they focused on Hamlet so much in the show. Because I was like, I don't know.
They talked a lot about
definitely
King
never
Lear
read
too,
Hamlet.
But yeah.
Yeah, King Lear is the play that Arthur was in, but they don't ever, the troupe doesn't ever do King Lear. And I don't even know anything about King Lear.
When he dies, though, that's what they're playing. That's what they're doing,
King Lear.
Right?
Yeah, that's Okay. Oh, yeah. So, I don't know. That we would need somebody who actually knows
see, and then
better.
I think that might be another thing, too, is it's like, I'm not a literary person when it comes, Shakespeare is confusing enough to me just watching a show or reading about it, let alone somebody having 17 layers to a novel that works it in. Like, I wouldn't get it.
Yeah, it was a very layered book. Yeah. And then with the Station 11 comic,
it's like a book within a comic. Yeah.
A book within a comic. I feel like the lines from the graphic novel were like some of the most poignant. Well, they were also repeated a lot, but it was like in the show. I'm not sure if this was again. I'm like you.
The
like,
lines are blurred. I know.
Yeah, but the like I remember damage thing that is said several times. There were just like a lot of because they were like recite the prophet's whole thing is that he like recite it's like lines from the comic book. It I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. And I was like, I want to read this graphic novel. Did they make it?
I mean, that would be smart.
They made it for the show. I mean,
yeah.
So no.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you feel about the multiple POVs? That was one of my questions. You already said that it was part of what kept you from getting super into it.
Yeah. How about you though? You liked it?
I shockingly didn't mind them. And like I said, it felt like she could anticipate when I wanted to hear something more from another person's perspective. And I wonder if maybe I didn't mind the multiple POVs because we weren't like super in people's heads. And so it wasn't
the mind jumping or whatever was
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's third person, so I'd guess is that still mind jumping? I guess so.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, yeah, I think it depends on like how close you're supposed to be. But yeah, I think I already said everything that I thought about that. But I just think it's interesting that it didn't bug me, and I don't know why.
So I have a question. In the book, who do you think is the main character?
Probably Kirsten.
See, that's also I think another thing is
There's
in the
no,
show
like,
I have
main character.
Yeah, like I have some like people that I can root for. I feel like in the book, like I'm like, who?
I feel like Kirsten is the main character in the show.
Definitely.
Yeah. But okay, all of the POVs that we have in the book, we have Kirsten, we have Jeevan, we have
some
Clark,
of Arthur.
We have Arthur.
We have Miranda.
We have Miranda. Is that it? We don't actually have any of Tyler's perspective, and we don't have any of.
We have that interview between Ramon or whatever those people are.
Oh, that was interesting.
What are their names? Ramon and no, maybe it was.
He was like a French guy.
Yeah, and then someone else. Something with a D and something with an R. No, but there were two other. No, there were two other people too.
Oh.
I don't know. It wasn't Kristen the whole time though.
Oh.
Maybe it wasn't the interview I'm thinking of. Maybe it was something else. Maybe it was because it would say like, oh, were they reading lines maybe? Because it would be like, name, this is what they said. Name, this is what they said.
I think that was Kirsten.
It wasn't Kristen's name though. It wasn't Kirsten's name. I don't know. I wish I had the paperback. This is one I wish I could go back and like flip through it.
Was it Kay Raymond?
Was it Raymond?
That's her last name.
No, I know, but I thought it was Ramon or something, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I care enough, but anyway, never mind. But yeah, but as far as main characters, you said Clark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I can think of. Okay, so let's get to the adaptation. So the show made a lot of changes. Yes. Are there any that you really liked? Or
I feel like I have probably the same opinion a lot of people have, which is I loved Kirsten and Jeevan together.
Yes, I know. That was my number one thing. I was like, I'm so glad that they did this.
Yes, because honestly, I think Jeevan was my favorite character. Yeah. Hands down.
It was like the everyman who's dealing with the apocalypse.
He was like,
and is like losing his mind.
Yeah, he's like, this is so pretentious reading that fucking comic book. I loved that. There's just so many lines, and I was just like, I love it. And yeah, talking to himself. I feel like he had the biggest character arc out of anybody. I mean, he really did. I mean, he's a fucking doctor by the end. I think my favorite episode was him being in the pregnant woman's.
Yes, I loved that one.
Yeah, ward or whatever, and I loved that. And his reunion with Kirsten had me like teary eyed.
Yeah,
which is, I mean,
and I was so excited for that because they don't ever, other than the very beginning or the very beginning of the end of the world. So, and it comes up multiple times throughout the book, but they only meet at the theater.
I know.
And that's it. And I think it confused me too, because I had watched the first few episodes And then I read the book and I kept waiting for them to meet back up.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how are they going to get back together? Because like the show is about them and surviving. And I was
Yeah.
like, this doesn't make any sense. So, spoiler, they are not a team
Yeah,
in
they're in the
the
book
book.
at all. No, but he was hands down my favorite. So I'm really glad they did that. And I did read last night, I was reading about how they had made those changes to the show with Emily's her first name, right? She was from the very beginning, she was like, yeah, you should do that. That would be a great adaptation. So
Yeah.
she was 100% behind it. And I think it's one of those things like, oh, and it gives me, I would be like, oh, that's such a good idea. I should have done that.
Should have done
Yeah.
that. I know.
Yeah. I have a feeling it might have been something like that. I mean, I don't know, obviously,
Yeah.
but yeah, I hands down loved it.
Yeah.
So Jeevan
and Kirsten as a team.
Yeah.
Jeevan is a reluctant parent.
Poor I know, like,
and Frank.
And then I know, and then in the show, he's like, she doesn't even like me. Like he's stuck with this girl who, you know, has this connection with Frank, even though Jeevan's the one who saved her and has been like essentially sacrificing everything for her since the very beginning.
Yeah.
And and anyway, yeah, it's like I said, I think he has the biggest growth, and I think he's my favorite character for sure.
I also really liked the change that they did to the like whole like conflict plot line with Tyler and
that was huge.
Everything.
Elizabeth,
it was like so much happier. Such a happier ending. Still just as like tense. I was like, oh my God, are they actually gonna blow this place up? But like, although I will say I don't feel like he necessarily deserves redemption after he had those kids blow themselves up.
Yeah, there's a few things that I was like, this is
like I think he probably should have died at the end. He should have been killed, even in the show. I mean, he dies in the book, but he should have been killed in the show.
Yeah, so he just gets his mom and he gets to go off on his own and
with his
do
kids,
his own thing.
Who he was like willing to sacrifice, like with landmines strapped to them. I mean,
it's weird. Yeah. Well, and then in I mean, they have him like going and blowing up, you know, the
golf course.
The golf course. I'm sitting there going, in the show, I felt like it was very clear to me that he didn't want everyone to go back to before, right? Like he wanted to get rid of
before
whatever, you know, because like Clark was holding on to before, right?
Yeah.
And that's why he blew up the whole museum.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really get why he wanted to blow up or why he blew up the golf course and all that. Or at least the guy, what's his name?
And
anyway, with the kids with the landmine and all that, like I don't really get why he did that, because I mean, again, I feel like I felt like through this whole story I was missing something, because
maybe it was
quite made sense.
Maybe it was he coming after Kirsten because she stabbed him?
But I don't think so. Well, unless he was doing all that just so she would chase after him, but that's like extreme.
Yeah. Either way, I still feel like he should have died in the end.
Yeah, it was all very strange. So
yeah, I did feel like it was a lot more complex. I liked the change though to his like prophet character, making him not just like the generic like cult mini wives creepy prophet kind of guy, and more like fully based off of the graphic novel, all children. There was no like creepy wives situation,
which doesn't actually make sense to me, but yeah.
He
just has like herds of children.
I know it's very like Peter Pan,
but yeah.
Anyway, are there changes that you did not like to the show?
I didn't really understand why they changed the situation with Frank's character. Like they made him he had a heroin problem, which that wasn't in the book, right? That was he died from pills because he OD'd on pills. And he didn't get stabbed. And I don't know, that was all kind of strange to me. I wasn't sure why they did that exactly. Like I don't know what they gained in the show from that.
Maybe they couldn't figure out a reason to have him do a suicide by pills with Kirsten there. I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, I guess if they had him stabbed, it would help, like, bolster the whole, like, always having knives on her, maybe. So I mean, I guess that could be it. What else? Yeah, and I thought the changes, some of the changes they made to the Tyler and the Prophet storyline, I thought were kind of, yeah,
out there.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like there was a lot of things that just kind of weren't taught, like they weren't really explained or talked about, and I don't know. It's just, he was just a very strange character. Very amazing acting, but
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't really understand Tyler's motivation, I think.
I don't either. I mean, he went back. I don't. Yeah,
in the show, I didn't understand his motivation.
Yeah, I didn't either. And I feel like, well, he went back so he could get his little handheld thing, but
to
I'm like,
blow it up, like.
Yeah, there's just a lot of things. So
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. But like I said, amazing acting.
Yeah. I would say that the changes that I disliked were, I didn't like Arthur and Clark's more strained relationship. Like overtly strained. I don't know. It felt unnecessary. And just the general changes to Clark's character, making him more, it was weird. I didn't understand it. Like why he was like doing cocaine and
Yeah, it's another one. It's like a Frank thing. Like why?
Yeah. And I would have liked, we still got to have the Miranda episode. We still got to have like the Clark episode. I would have liked to have had the Arthur episode. Like we got Arthur's perspective at the end of the book, and we got to see more about him. And since he's like kind of like the center point, connecting.
Yeah, he's more like sprinkled throughout.
Yeah,
he doesn't like have an episode.
Yeah. So I don't know. But like you said, amazing acting. What did you think of the casting? I feel like I know what you're gonna say.
No, I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I thought the Mackenzie Davis, I forget her last name.
Is that Kirsten?
Yeah, she did an amazing job. I mean, everybody did an amazing job.
Yeah.
I think the casting, like Jeevan, all of them, I think they were absolutely perfect. I think Clark did an amazing job. I think Elizabeth, I mean, they all did. The Prophet, amazing. Doesn't mean I understood it, but they did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, I wasn't really invested in the story, and I still got teary-eyed at the end. So, I mean, it takes a lot to, it's good, really good. So I think they did a really good job with that. I really liked that last scene in the last episode when Jeevan and Kirsten are on the road, and then they go their own. Like that was super. And like, oh, come back next year. We'll make sure we'll add this to the circle, the loop.
Yeah.
Really like that. So.
And did you notice that Jeevan's kids were named Frank?
Yep.
Something and Key. And I was like, is that Key for Kiki?
Kiki, probably.
I was like,
yeah. Yeah, no, I really like I said, I loved his character, and I love my favorite episode was when he was at all those pregnant women. I mean, it was just great.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
She's like, I don't care if you're a doctor.
She's like, you're a doctor.
Pretend like you're one.
Yeah. And I loved the part when she's like sitting in that armchair. So like
drinking out of her vodka bottle.
Yeah. And she's explaining to him why she's alive. Because she's a doctor. She's like, because I had my, medical license revoked for running a Ponzi scheme in the hospital.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
So I was at home while every other doctor died.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so interesting.
It really is.
And like that explains why like there would be no soldiers. There would be, because they all would have been, out trying to organize people and stuff. And so they all would have gotten sick and died.
Was it in the movie or in the book or both when they said it only is like 3 hours between contracting it and then like dying?
Getting sick
or maybe it was showing symptoms. I can't remember.
Maybe I think that, they were just saying like there's like 0 incubation period. So it's like you are exposed and you get sick 3 hours later, and then there's like a 0.1 chance of survival.
I really like that it wasn't a zombie. Like I really like that there was no zombies.
Yeah, there was no zombies. There was no there were the red bandanas. Not only in the show.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think they were only in the show.
Can't remember.
They allude to her waking up with guys with a bunch of guns, and I thought maybe it might have been them, like towards the end of the book, but it never like I don't recall it ever saying like the red bandana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like I already know what you're gonna say as to answer this, but this is just a standalone book and a single season miniseries. Do you wish there was more, or are you satisfied with it as is?
So, I mean, obviously I'm good, but I did read that HBO is making 2 more of her books into shows. And I think there might be in the same world. I haven't read
Oh,
them,
really? Because I did look up her books to see if any of them
but
were
they're
in the same
not,
world.
they flat out said they're not like sequels or anything.
Okay.
So one of them is, I wrote it down, The Glass Hotel and Sea of Tranquility. I haven't read them. I could be wrong. Who knows where? I mean, I read it on the internet. It could be like grossly incorrect, but
Yeah.
I did hear that HBO is making them into shows. They are the same author, and they are not sequels, but they may be in the same world. I don't know. So there you go.
Okay.
And
Well,
I guess my answer then would be, in saying that, I would check them out and see if I liked them.
well, I would say I thought it ended well. It was very like, especially the show, it was just like very nicely wrapped up. Like,
yeah, the show definitely.
but if there was another season of the show, I would watch more. And like I said, I looked it up to see if any of her other books were in the same world, and it didn't look like it to me.
Yeah, then they probably aren't. They must just be more of her books they opted to make into shows, miniseries for
That's
HBO.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so my last question is, do you have any book, show, or movie recommendations for people who enjoyed this book / show?
So the very first one that came to mind, which I know you're not a fan of, was C, and it's very different. It's a very different world, but it's very much like after, right? It's very after the world ends or whatever. So that's one of I absolutely love that show. But then I started like going in and I was like, I feel like I've seen other shows that are similar to this. So then I started kind of researching a little bit, and it's funny because the shows that when I was looking it up that it is compared to are shows that I did not keep watching because I did
that's
not like
interesting.
them. So, The Leftovers.
Yeah, I remember. I wasn't sure if you kept watching that. I never watched it, I don't think.
Yeah, I watched like probably 5 or 6 episodes, and I was like, this is I don't have time for this. So there's that one, and then Raised by Wolves. I watched 3 episodes, and I will never ever watch that again. That is one of the most disturbing shows.
It's
I cannot
super
do it.
weird. Super weird. We watched it. We watched both seasons. It's so weird. It only gets weirder.
Yeah,
and I can't believe that my husband wanted to continue it, but he was like, I feel like I'm invested. I've got to keep going. I need to find out what's happening. And it's like you never really understand it.
Yeah,
it just gets weirder.
It's too much for me. So that's why I just thought it was really funny. And then a couple other ones that I actually do want to watch, or at least one other one for sure that I really want to watch, is The Stand, which I still haven't seen.
I do want to
see the newer one. So I really want to watch that one. Because
with Alexander Skarsgård.
I didn't know he's in it until I saw the image, and I was like, all right, well,
oh, guess I'm gonna watch this.
But I've been wanting to anyway. I really do, because a lot of like the Savage North Chronicles is compared to that a lot. So I want to, so I really want to. I need to watch it / read the.
Isn't it vampire?
The Stand?
Is it not vampire?
I don't think so.
Maybe not.
I think it's just post. I don't know. I'll let you know eventually. I read it. But anyway, so that is one that is compared to that I would like to. I'm not going to read it, let's be honest, but I will watch the show.
Well, I had 2 shows. I also was like I feel like there's so many, like I said, this one is so unique in its everything. And so I was like, I can't really think of anything that is like this, where I'd be like, oh, if you like this, you would like The Walking Dead. No. I mean, nothing against The Walking Dead. I had to stop after the whole brain smushing thing, but I would recommend Survivors, which is a British viral apocalypse show. I want to say there's only like 2 seasons. It was it's got to be at least a decade old now. It was excellent, really good, ahead of its time. I loved it, and I was so bummed when I like got to the end, and I was like, "There's no more." It like got canceled. I mean, it didn't finish.
Oh,
And
that
then
sucks.
yeah, and then The Rain, which is
Yes, I saw that on there. Dennis watched that, and I think he liked it.
that is
I've
a
never
great
seen
show.
it.
Great show. And it's English subtitled, like Danish or something like that. Really good. Those were the
Okay,
two.
good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I have to say, and I know, again, this is one of the issues I had with the book, is that there wasn't, I feel like everything was really topical from, I mean, it was layers, but it was like, I didn't feel like I was ever submersed in anything. And so, but what I really enjoyed about the show, loved the costumes. Can I just say
Oh my
that?
gosh,
Like,
yes. Yes. So good.
Plastic bottles as skirts and like gloves is, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, it was so creative. And then how that their carriages for getting around, making them like their train wagon shit.
The like whole
so smart.
like setting, world building,
Very
like
cool.
the way that it looked was so cool. People looked like dirty and unwashed, and like it was, you know,
who knew fanny packs would be so useful? Yes. I mean, the whole time it's like strapped across the, I'm just like, oh my God, this is awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I have to say that was pretty epic.
Yeah. And like in the first year, like Kirsten and Jeevan and Frank, like their whole outfits, like everything, they were like sweaters on their heads. I mean, they're in Chicago, right? It's cold.
What do we know what year that's supposed to be?
I don't know. Roughly like nowish.
I don't know. That's what I was just curious because I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking, but thinking back on what they were wearing, was a lot of, it looked almost like 80s like jackets and like bright neon colors, and I don't know, I was just curious, like what was
it did feel like the future, like 20 years later, like the stuff that they had scavenged was from a pre-now era.
But yet when they were like all the phones and they were like smartphones, but it was it was, they did a really interesting conglomeration of a lot of things. So
yeah. And I loved Jeevan's like blanket fort. When they
lit. I'm just like, oh, poor guy. He's like talking to his
totally
sister.
thought that was Kirsten's like little blanket fort. Nope, it was Jeevan's.
No.
Hallucinating his dead sister.
I have to say, like, when he just kind of disappeared and she found the like in the snow, she found the comic and all that. I've seen it going for 2 or however many episodes. I was like, what the happened to him? Because obviously it's not in the book, right? So I was just like, what, is he dead? Like, what's going on? So I was so happy that he woke up and there were all those pregnant women. And
I know that episode was awesome.
I know.
And then we got to see like him become a doctor.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not even a doctor, but okay. Hey, let's deliver some kids. With my hobbly leg and my burnt arm or gnarled arm or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm actually really glad that we had very different takes on it. That makes it more fun.
Yeah. It does.
Anyway.
Do you have any final thoughts?
I don't. I think that, I mean, I was not a fan of either, but I also think that, I mean, this book is a international bestseller for a reason. So if you're interested, you should check it out.
It's not super long.
Felt like it.
There's that. Okay, yeah. And I would say check it out. I thought it was great. So
yeah, for sure.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode's links and book recommendations. And we'll be back in a couple weeks to chat about.
Oh my goodness gracious. Here we go, everybody.
We are going to chat about Ice Planet Barbarians.
Oh wow, that's a fancy cover.
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
Fancy cover.
Oh wow, okay.
It is the special edition.
Nice.
Yeah. The other one's just like sexy photo people.
Yeah.
The blue
like
alien.
Purple sexy men holding a woman or something.
Yeah. Anyway, Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon, which is a huge like book talk sensation and bookstagram sensation. So I like there's people who are obsessed with this series, so I'm really curious to see what it's all about.
Yeah, me too. I am too. I mean, I've never, and we'll see.
I mean, I think we did one alien.
Yeah, we had Allison Ames come on, and
we did a sci-fi
one.
and I thought that was really fun. So yeah, so I'm excited to see like what is so swoon worthy about these blue men.
Exciting.
They're not little green men; they're big blue men.
Burly, surly blue men.
I think they maybe have horns too. Not on this one, but I feel like on another cover I've seen them with horns. But like this dude's huge. Look at him.
Yeah, she only goes up to below his shoulder. Yeah.
It's a big dude.
Big old, you know what, too. No, I mean, let's be honest. This is gonna be a romance, so.
Romance. I believe they are extremely spicy.
Okay, so is it erotica? Like, I don't even know. I haven't looked.
I don't know, but it's
gonna be spicy, everybody. So
they call it a romance. It's a spicy romance. We'll just say that.
All right.
So the next episode is gonna be explicit.
All right.
If you're
blue cocks are gonna be involved.
I'm gonna add an E for this one too.
Sorry, the heat is really getting to me. I think it's going to my brain.
If you're enjoying the show, we would love it if you left us a rating and or a review on iTunes and or anywhere else that accepts ratings or reviews. But honestly, I don't know of any other podcast places that let you rate them. So, maybe like Audible. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't forget to join the No Shelf Control Facebook group, even though we're terrible about posting in it. We really are trying harder.
I'll get that in my calendar.
But the link for that is in the show notes. And until next time, happy reading about blue aliens.
Happy reading, everybody.